Today we're going to be talking about Bob. Let me know if you understand that reference. Actually, we're going to be talking about the skull, how I use the skull in everything that I do, and why it's so important to understand the skull. Stick around, this will be fun. I wanted to talk about something that's really important to me and to my artwork, and that's, yes, the skull. It's not a real skull, but it's a duplicate. My wife bought this for me several years ago, probably around 5 or 6 years ago now, and it's an almost exact replica of a human skull. And I keep this actually in the house by my drawing chair so that I can just look over and reference it at any time. I also keep a full skeleton here in the studio that I can reference at a regular basis. Sometimes I light them and all that. I use it for reference for the teeth. But the skull is so important. You got to kind of know the skull, the nasal bone, the mandible, the maxilla, the zygomatic. You don't need to know the names of them, but you need to know what it looks like and how the lines move, how the zygomatic bone moves into the maxilla, even how the maxilla kind of pushes outwards like that, and how the jawbone fits in here and how it can move and how it moves, that it's a hinge, it pulls out, and look at that line, it doesn't go straight down, it pulls down. So it's so important when you're drawing to think of these things as you're drawing, and then it allows you, once you know them, it'll allow you to exaggerate them. You can thin out this frontal bone and flatten the skull out if you want to. You can take these zygomatic bones and maxilla, and you can increase them and make them bigger if you choose to. Even the frontal bone, you can take this eye, you can really push this bone out to really make some dark eyes. But you got to know what you're doing. You don't just start drawing a character and not think about it. So it's so very important to, first of all, I would recommend to anybody, you can find these things for, this one is a little bit more of an expensive one, but you can find plastic ones online for less than $20, on Amazon. Just go get one, order it, keep it by your workshop where you draw all the time. If you draw in several places, keep several of them. I do, like I said. So it's just really, really important to understand this. The skeletal system is everything. You base everything off the skeleton system, and if you want your drawings to look semi-realistic, it's got to work. The joints and everything have to look like they work, and we understand this innately. And I think even people who don't understand art understand innately how things work, what looks real, what doesn't look real. And I have a few examples here. I thought I'd go ahead and show you. We'll just set this guy over here. I keep wanting to call him Bob, and anybody who knows that reference to the super popular books will understand who Bob is. But I'll start off with just more of a human type looking drawing here. And you can see here, let me grab a pencil. You can see here that I'm thinking about, here's the maxilla, and here's how it reaches all the way to the ear socket. When you look at the skull, you can see, look at this, all the way back. And here it is in the drawing, all the way back, all the way to the ear. Put these separate here. and then also how it goes into the frontal, the maxilla here, well, this is the zygomatic. I keep calling the wrong names, and I apologize for that. The maxilla is the front. This is the zygomatic here. But I'm thinking about how the eye socket sits in here, how the zygomatic bone reaches out and across, how the maxilla is going to sit. You can kind of see the structure, even where does my nasal bone sit within this. And then you can start exaggerating. You can shorten this up. You can elongate this. You can pull out the nasal bone. So if I was drawing this, the nasal bone would be more like out here kind of deal. But you can exaggerate it as long as you know what you're doing. And when I'm drawing, I always think about, what am I doing? How am I structuring this? What's the distance between the zygomatic bone and where the ear is? I'm thinking about all this so I can get the best structure I can. And even if you look at the jawbone, how I've just completely extended the jawbone on this guy, right? But it still fits right here, straight across here. When he opens up his jaw, it's going to rotate. And that's the kind of stuff I am thinking of as I'm drawing this. And even when I take something like this, that's a little bit more of a monster type look here. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. Sorry for the shakiness, but hey, but you can still see, look at this, the maxilla here. It's still here. I got rid of the nasal bone, right? But the zygomatic bone is still here. The eye socket's still here. The jawbone is still here. You know, I'm thinking of this. And I think too many people think of, oh, I'm just going to draw the face. And it's the face. But you got to be thinking about the underlying structures. And this is kind of where I go, where if you know how to draw an eye, a nose, a mouth, an ear, and you understand the skull, you can start distorting it and you can create semi-realistic characters with your drawings. There's another one that I'm working on here. And you can see I've done the same thing. You can see the zygomatic, the nose, and this one I've even changed the nose, but I elongated the jawbone here. And even when you get into kind of a little bit more characters here, here's another example of that. But I'm still thinking of the nasal, elongated this section here in the zygomatic, and then this maxilla here, I kind of shortened it. And the jawbone, I really lengthened it out. Whoa, but I shortened the chin area up, right? Looking at the teeth too, looking at the teeth on mine, you know, on my reference. I keep the reference. I don't shoot a lot of direct reference, but I keep a lot of reference around. I keep a lot of anatomy reference. I keep a lot of bone reference so that I can look at things as I'm building. And this is kind of what happens with that. With anatomy reference and all that, you can still create something that is semi-realistic looking. And you know, and that's the goal. So you got to ground it in reality. And by having good, solid reference to work from, you can ground your drawings in reality. And when you ground your drawings in reality, you can really push them to where you think that, boy, this is not going to look real at all, and it will. It'll look, you could trick somebody, if you will. You trick the eye into thinking that it's real. And so that's all. I do the same with hands. I do the same with everything I draw. But I always keep some sort of reference to work from. And whenever I'm making decisions on my drawings, I'm making conscious decisions on my drawing. I'm not just freeform in it. Even though my style is freeform, as I'm pulling out the character and I'm using the paintbrush, I am pulling from my memory or looking at reference. But I look at reference so much, but I have a fairly decent visual memory to go off of. And I think you can tell times when I push it too hard and I don't. And matter of fact, I'm in a drawing right now. I didn't bring it with me, but I've really struggled with it because I have the head at a slight angle and I'm trying to figure out where the mouth and how much skin comes down the side. And I had to turn around, look at my reference, light it, and go, oh, that's how it's supposed to look. So anyhow, that's it. Super short video, but get yourself some reference. Super cheap on Amazon, and keep it around. Keep it around you so you can look at it and take the time to look at it. It'll do you so much good. So anyhow, thanks for watching. And happy 2022. It's going to be a good one. Take care. Bye.